Hi, this is Bishop Zubik, and I'd like to begin first by thanking all of you for being an important part of the Church of Pittsburgh, and to borrow, if I will, a few moments to share with you something very important about what's happening in our diocese. We all have a tremendous love for Pope John Paul II and all that he did for our church. There are lots of stories about Pope John Paul II, and I'd like to share with you one story that touched me deeply. Shortly after Pope John Paul II was elected the Pope in 1978, he made plans to go to his native country of Poland, and despite the fact that the political leaders tried to stop that visit, he was able to go, and literally millions of people turned out for his visit. But one of the most poignant aspects of that trip became evident at the very time when he was celebrating his 25th anniversary as Pope. One of his friends told this very touching story. As the Pope was traveling back to the airport to fly back to Rome, he was with one of his very good friends in the car. And one of the things that the friend noticed was that the Holy Father was exceptionally quiet, didn't say a word. And as his friend looked over at him, he could see that there were tears rolling down his cheeks, and the friend knew why the Holy Father was shedding tears. He now saw that he would be leaving his homeland. And when he got to the airport and the tarmac, he went up the steps to enter the plane, never bothered to turn around and wave, because there was a good sense of homesickness that he was feeling. Yet later the Holy Father would reflect on that personal experience, and he came to realize that the church had to be bigger than Poland for him. He was, after all, the leader of the Church Universal throughout the world. And that experience helped him to really cherish what it means to be church and to see how wide the church really is. I use that story about Pope John Paul II's life to share with you a challenge that I know we face here in the Diocese of Pittsburgh, that we can move beyond our own individual parishes, all 214 of them, and begin more and more to see ourselves working together to build the church, to make the church alive in the local church of Pittsburgh. When last year I was able to share with you a pastoral letter entitled The Church Alive. And in that letter I tried to make a couple of important points. Two of them are central to my sharing with you my thoughts today. First of all, that when we take a look at the church, we need to be able to see it as a servant church. And second of all the titles that we use about the church, we see the church as the body of Christ. And I can think of no better story in the Scriptures to help define both of those realities, who we are as the body of Christ and who we are as the servant church, by taking a look at something that happened at the Last Supper, recorded by the Gospel writer John. You will remember the scene with me. In the middle of the meal, Jesus got up and he put on an apron and took a basin and a pitcher of water, and he went around the table and he washed the feet of all of the apostles. And after he was finished, he didn't want the lesson of what he did to escape the apostles. And he said to them, "You know what I just did for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and fittingly enough, for that is what I am. But if I, who am your teacher and your Lord, what I have done for you, so must you also do." The lesson that Jesus gave to the apostles, and the lesson that he wants to teach all of us, is as the church, as the body of Christ, we in fact are called to be servants. When I had the privilege to become your bishop in September of 2007, you may remember that I challenged all of you, as I challenged myself, to really be excited about our faith, to see that the church needs to be a body of Christ that is very much alive. And shortly after my installation, I began to think of practical ways in which we could really make that happen. That you and I, the nearly 800,000 members of the Church of Pittsburgh, could really help each other be excited about the faith that Jesus gives, and that we in fact can find ourselves helping to build the church, to make the church alive. One of the practical ways that I propose that we look at is how we do in fact share with each other, that we see ourselves as bigger than our parish or our current deanery structure, much as the Holy Father, Pope John Paul II, was able to see the church as much larger than just Poland. One of the things that we have been working on over the course of the last number of months is the movement from a structure in our diocese, the deanery structure, and you're well aware that we have 16 deaneries in our diocese, to a vicariate structure. And over the course of the next months, you'll be hearing more about what a vicariate is. Simply put, though, a vicariate is a geographic breakdown of the 214 parishes and all the faith communities of our diocese so that we can be much closer with each other, that I can be closer with you. Second of all, that as faith communities in the Church of Pittsburgh, we can work more closely together. Third of all, that by moving to a vicariate structure, the pressures that our priests face can in fact be lessened, and more lay people can step up to the plate to use their talents to be servants in this church that is in fact the body of Christ. I want to be very clear. When we talk about switching to a vicariate structure, we're not just talking about moving the furniture. By moving to that structure, I'm challenging all of you to join with me in thinking about who we are as church and what we do as church from a far bigger perspective. That we see ourselves really working together to really help the church to be alive. What it means to be able to work more closely together as neighboring parishes, to cluster the ministry efforts that we afford each other. That we work a lot more closely together when we take a look at resolving some of the problems that come up in our geographic areas. And the critical way in which the vicariate system will work is by my appointment of priests whose full time will be the vicar of each of the regions in the diocese. He'll be working closely with me and myself with him so that our understanding of church and everything that we're about in growing the church is something that we come to understand better and are far more effective at as well. Over the course of the next weeks and months, we're going to be taking a look at critical questions. Moving from 16 deaneries to the number of vicariates is still something that I need to hear from our priests and our deacons and our pastoral counselor and from all of you. It's also important for us to be able to take a look at how we can in fact help this new structure be able to grow so that we can have a deeper understanding of what it really means to be church. And so I wanted to take these few moments to share this particular project with all of you in the hopes that you will do 6 things with me. That you'll pray about the vicariate structure, that you'll learn more about it, that you'll discuss it with your priests and with other members of your parish, that you'll be open, that you'll be positive and be realistic about what we may in fact be able to accomplish. Jesus was able to accomplish a great deal when he washed the feet of the disciples and challenged them to do so. And what Jesus did at the Last Supper, he did not only for his 12 apostles, he did for all of us. My prayer is that you will join with your priests, with the leaders of your parish, and with me, in helping the Church of Pittsburgh to be truly alive. And that, as we take a look at moving to a vicariate structure, that we may in fact be able to help that happen by saying yes to the Spirit who guides us to a new and an exciting day in our church. Thank you again for your time, and thanks again for all that you do to make the Church of Pittsburgh such a wonderful place. God bless you.